Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Longshot number 2, cover dated October 1985, and it is number 2 in a 6-issue limited series. This is a pretty cool cover, great work on it by Arthur Adams, focusing in on Longshot with a jetpack, and this will turn out to be Ricochet Rita in costume with a jetpack too. What I really like on this cover is the choice to have the background, this starry night sky, as a blue and indigo color hold. That's pretty cool. Arthur Adams signs it on the 8th of July 1984. So the Longshot series, he did almost a year's work before issue 1 started coming out. So that meant that there was a lot of art in the can. And around the time that it started coming out here cover dated October 1985, so that's the summer of 1985, Chris Claremont saw Arthur Adams' work, liked it, and then got him those gigs working on the X-Men annuals that he's so renowned for. So let's open this one up to, one other thing I want to comment on is I really like the quarter box here with Longshot and Magog there. That's pretty nice. Very, very detailed work from Arthur Adams, which is what you'd expect from the man. So here's our first page, not quite a full splash page, but we've got these inset panels of this train. It's an armored train chugging along a railway line. We've got Longshot running. I like the detail always. If you're going to be drawing Longshot, you got to remember he's only got 3 fingers on each hand. The detail there of the insect as well flying, and all of that line work on the grass as well. Such a lot of lines on the page from Arthur Adams, and Longshot and Magog there running after this train. But if you zero in on the detail of the train, you can see these barrels of these guns coming out, these portals, and also these spikes up on top of the train. So what is going on here? Well, the title of the story is I'll Wave to You from the Top. And the creative team is Nocenti, writer, Arthur Adams, pencilers, and they're both credited as creators because they are the co-creators of Longshot and his story world. Whilce Portacio on inks, Joe Rosen letters, and Christy Shield colors. So they're running alongside this train. They're about to hop on board, and then we get this interesting downshot on the train going along its railway line. And Longshot thinking, what fun, and Magog thinking beside him, this is ridiculous. So something I really like about Nocenti's treatment of the characters in this series is you hear what the characters say aloud in their speech balloons, but in the thought bubbles or balloons, you get sometimes an ironical perspective on what they've just said publicly. So I like the way that she kind of tracks what a character's persona might be versus what they're privately thinking. So we have this director. His nickname is Hitch, and so it turns out this is a film set. Who's that on my set? He exclaims. He's ruined the shot. So then he calls out for Rita. So Rita is the stunt woman here. So we've got a nice panel of her getting on board this motorcycle, this tricked out motorcycle. So she takes off her costume headdress, and Hitch instructs her to go get him, Ricochet Rita. So that's her kind of professional name as a stunt woman. And here we go, we have exactly Nocenti having that double perspective on the character. Anything to take a ride, boss man, and to get away from you, she thinks privately. So I really like that. Also the details here of Longshot running alongside the train and leaping aboard, and Magog is already up there, which surprises him. So Longshot addresses Magog as pup throughout. This is an interesting shot, reverse angle on the motorcycle as Ricochet Rita is catching up with the train, and Longshot's aboard there with Magog, who's purring with delight now on top of the train. I like that detail. And then Longshot spots something. So Magog is transforming. Hey pup, what's with your tail? When did you grow spikes? We can just about see them there in the art. So much detail on these pages, so much detailed line work. And Magog says, what spikes? What tail? And also he's got this ridge developing on his back like a stegosaurus. He says, what ridge? Oh, that ridge, it's always been there. So there's a little mystery with Magog here. He's allied with these other characters from Mojo World that Longshot fought in the first issue. And Magog is tagging along for his own reasons. But he's fairly what would we say, like sensitive about Longshot examining him and his physical change. He says, "Get your eyes off of me." Then Rita comes level with Longshot on the train, and Magog disappears. He teleports away, it seems, gone. I hate it when he does that. But what's that little kind of trail of fire there as well? So, you know, as the series goes on, we're learning more about all of these different characters and Longshot's antagonists from Mojo World as well. So here we've got our first good look at Ricochet Rita without her headdress, and she is modelled on Ann Nocenti. So Arthur Adams modelled the look of Ricochet Rita on his collaborator, Ann Nocenti. So Longshot jumps off the train. That's a pretty cool anchor image there onto the back of Rita's motorcycle. He's standing on top there, and of course that makes quite the impression on the film crew. Just look at all the detail here from Arthur Adams. There is no scrimping on the detail. And look at this little guy. Watch him there. I don't know if you can see him. See where my finger is pointing? There's a little barbarian boy there in the front and center. We'll see him shortly again in a very weird place. So Arthur Adams just really enjoying all that detail. Another artist would try and escape having to draw that level of detail with other kinds of tricks. So this is an interesting layout on this page too, where we've got a double page third spread all across the 2 pages there, and this is the director Hitch. Now he's modeled on Stan Lee, so his face and even his act is very reminiscent of Stan Lee's public persona, and I think Nocenti's been a bit cheeky with that. He's wearing a Captain America t-shirt as well. A bit of cheek and humor from Ann Nocenti, and she's getting away with it too, so I kind of like that. And again, look at all the detail here. This guy flexing his bicep. All of these other characters, and some of these characters I'm of the opinion that they're modeled on Marvel staffers, and right here I'm pretty sure that this is a self-portrait of Arthur Adams by himself there. That's an interesting one, but I'm sure that some of these other characters are Marvel staffers. So Longshot introduces himself. We've got Ricochet Rita here in the foreground with Longshot. That's interesting, having them in the foreground and colored in blue. So our focus goes on the film crew. So he introduces himself. He's Longshot. Hitch, the director, wants him to be a stuntman, and this actress here says, with your dreamy face and a name like Longshot, what else could you be besides the star? So the star here is getting a little bit uncomfortable with that, and then Rita here is thinking, and then the former stuntman competition. So Hitch tells the former stuntman to get out of there. He's not the stuntman anymore. The guy says, "Why you? Work here is dangerous. I hope it kills you. You just made a powerful enemy, kid." "What did I do?" asks Longshot, because he's kind of an innocent abroad in many ways. So Longshot is going to be the stuntman for this guy here, who's a bit of a narcissist, as many actors are. And so he throws off his wig to Longshot to catch. And of course he'll act as my personal valet also. Now collect my things, watch the drama of my gestures carefully. There we go. And then this is an interesting little bit from Nocenti. So she's kind of making some side comments on the whole world of acting, theatre, celebrity and fame. And this figure plays a part in that. Kimberly Price. Years ago she was beautiful. It was all she had, rocketed to stardom and splattered across magazines at too young an age. It's as if the 1,000 flashbulbs that went off in her 16-year-old face froze her mind there. And she's been trying to stay there ever since. Now it takes a flurry of makeup magicians to dissolve the decades. And 3 hours later, so there she is. So that's pretty, edgy satire on the whole kind of glamour and acting industry from Nocenti. Again, more detail here with the film crew and Ricochet Rita and Longshot talking here beside this truck. And Ricochet Rita says she's pretty tragic about the actress. A pretty face can give you a boost in life, take you far, for a while. Poor Kimberly. Yeah, that's interesting. So Longshot and Ricochet Rita get acquainted, and she says to him here, picking up this jetpack, you know, you've only been at it a week now. So a week has passed from when he was brought on as a stuntman. You were made to do stunts, which is Hitch is real impressed. I like this pose on Longshot as he has his hands on his knees and he's looking down at the jetpack. Like Arthur Adams, like this is only his second published professional work for Marvel, and the man has great skills with anatomy and figure work for sure. And of course, he's got that really close and sensitive eye for detail as well, which puts me in mind of I'd really like to see this series in black and white on high quality paper, because some of that detailed line work is a little bit obscured with on the newsprint, and because of the limitations of the printing process from the mid-80s, that flexographic printing process. So she hands Longshot a jetpack, and she says, I think you can get up and keep up. So he's there thinking fly. Now I really like this page. So some of the pages in this issue are quite cluttered, and that is an indicator of, okay, so if Arthur Adams is very good with the anatomy and figure work, and you know, backgrounds and machinery and so on and so forth, and perspective, something that he's learning and a skill he's acquiring is how to tell the story in less panels. So this page works really well. There's not so much clutter on the page in terms of the backgrounds because they're up in the sky here and so on and so forth. So I really like it. This page really breathes, I feel, in terms of that storytelling. It's very clear. I even like the detail, you know, this worm's eye view on the pole for the power lines there. That's nice, and also the indication of their flight path with the trail from the jetpacks as well. I like that detail too. Add some dynamism to it, and just again, you know, even though there's not a lot of clutter there, we've got top-down detail on that machine there as well. You know, he's not scrimping, but I like the way that there's a little less detail, so there's greater clarity in the artwork. And then he has a flashback here, and that's an interesting use of the panel layouts as well. As he zeroes in, he's staring at the shiny jetpack on Rita's back, and he's thinking to himself, flown before? Has he flown before? So let's turn the page. This is nice. So we get these narrow panels moving towards his memory of a time on Mojo World with a companion here who's dressed like him in the same kind of leathers. Hey, good buddy, keep up, will you? Get on it, kill these guys before they multiply. So Longshot says, let them multiply. Against you and me, Jackson, who'd survive? Yeah, we're pretty hot, buddy, ain't we? Listen, superstar, when this is over, let's you and me bust out of here. And then he's shot out of the sky. Great pose there on Longshot, and also great lighting too, spotting of blacks by Art Adams. Good inking too from Whilce Portacio. Remember, Portacio is doing the inking on the whole issue here. I think also there's some Scott Williams, uncredited Scott Williams assists as well. And look at that. That's an interesting face. Very Mike Golden, this one. Michael Golden influence. So Michael Golden definitely an influence on Arthur Adams. And you can see it more clearly in that particular reaction close-up on Longshot's face with the tears streaming out of his eyes as well. So he zooms down at this war machine and he shouts out here, I'll kill you, you spineless creeps in your blasted movies. So we don't in this issue get an introduction to Mojo just yet, but we're getting a build-up to that. So down he comes, and then he flashes back to the present, and he's lost control of the jetpack. He's falling from the sky. That's a nice panel there of the two. Really great work on that. And that's nice cartooning as well. And just look at the little dots and the raised eyebrows for his face. It's so tiny, the level of detail, but it's really great cartooning. So good. And also the effect of the jet on the ground as well. All that, not smoke, but dust blowing out of the ground. Very nice. Well thought out. And then the smoke coming out of the back of the jetpacks as well. great eye for the telling detail that brings life to the scene and the storytelling. So then back on set, we have that actress from earlier, Kimberly, and Longshot says to her, "What's really bugging you, Miss Price? You wonder why I don't fawn all over you." This is another nice Nocenti bit, these character bits that I like from her. So Longshot continues and he says here, "What's a superstar?" Remember, his friend called him that before. "It's a horror. It's like offering your soul up to the public. It steals your anonymity. It exposes all that's private to the public. Fame is a curse. It was such a shameful job." He's thinking of himself and his past, but he doesn't have 100% grip on that because he's still in the main amnesiac. And she says to him, she protests, "It's not that way for me." And he says, "How would you know? My face, I'm losing my face." So like her makeup is coming off. So some interesting kind of subtext thematics in this issue from Nocenti. Then this is an interesting bit here. One of these demon characters from Mojo World from the previous issue, Quark, this is, you can see it there with his ram's horns, is watching them from the bushes. And here's the Stan Lee director. I call him Stan Lee director. I like the detail on the leather jacket he's wearing as well. So drapery is a difficult thing to draw, and Arthur Adams is doing a very good job here on that. Also, what I find interesting about Hitch's grin here is how it's going to be mirrored when we ultimately do meet Mojo in an upcoming issue. And I like this dialogue that Nocenti gives Hitch here because it's still relevant, just as her commentary on fame and its hollowness is relevant. So is this commentary on pop culture. So Hitch says to Longshot, "Longshot, my boy, I have a deal to propose, but first I have a dream to tell. The dream is of the perfect movie. It's all in my formula." So, you know, like, how can a perfect movie, an art movie, be down to formula? So this guy doesn't deal in art movies. Take one He-Man, lots of girls, a dash of violence, some fancy sets, toss in some fast chase scenes, a touch of current issues. And I love the kind of self-reflexiveness of this description, because this is exactly the Longshot miniseries. So that's really nice from Nocenti as well. Then up the speed of the film, a few notches, and voila, the perfect junk food movie. That's American film, and that's Stan Lee American comics as well, is the between the lines of this panel. "It's my genius," he says. "I can zoom in on the latest trends and plaster them all over the silver screen before most people even get a chance to experience them. And that's my genius. I grab onto the future and chuck it into the past, not letting it rest a moment in the present. I've made selling junk food an art. It's the American dream, and I had it first," he says. So anyway, he offers Longshot $1 million to do a deadly dangerous stunt. So he agrees to it because he needs money. This is a nice page here. I like the establishing shot of the motel. This is Ricochet Rita's room. Top-down angle here is interesting. Longshot's there too in a chair, and they're having a chat. And Ricochet Rita reveals here, that's a really nice panel of her as well, the detail on her face. She says to him when he talks about how he's got no memories of himself, "That's okay. All my life I've been looking for a man without a past." And outside we've got Magog, and he sees that someone else is out there too. We see the silhouette of this guy outside the curtains. So they're continuing to talk there about the past and so on and so forth. Longshot says there, "Part of me doesn't want a clear picture of that past." "What are you afraid of finding out?" Ricochet Rita asks him. "What's back there in that deep, dark past? You're so reckless and wild. You fascinate me. It's like looking in a mirror. I must have a streak of narcissism in me." And she kisses him. It's really interesting from Nocenti. You know, this exploration of celebrity, fame, the drive for it, and the narcissism that underpins it. Again, another great close-up on Ricochet Rita's face. Arthur Adams definitely using some reference for this, but also rendering it in his style, which he's concretizing and crystallizing over the course of these early issues of the Longshot series. But Ricochet Rita gets a surprise when she kisses him. Your skin like leather. So more information about Longshot. You know, the 3 fingers, the more than one heart, a skin like leather. And so she concludes, or she infers, I don't think you're not human. Okay, so that's another blow for Longshot. Well, of course I am. I'm just like you. And then there's a crash outside. Their jetpacks have fallen to the ground. And who's out there except for these demon guys from Mojo World that we saw in the last issue? They were thwarted in their attempt to get back to their proper dimension. And then they're attacked by Magog and they bug out. So Longshot says to him, you're different, bigger. Different? How so? So Magog here playing a game. Looks a bit like Alf in these panels. He goes straight for the fridge and the junk food. He's enjoying it there. And Longshot says, hey, when did you learn how to stand up on 2 feet? You're full of surprises. So he says, yeah. And then Ricochet Rita arrives. And she is, of course, taken by surprise in respect of Magog here. Puppies can't talk. That's no puppy. That's a midget in a fursuit, isn't it? So, she thinks it's another, what would we say, like a bit of theatre. And Longshot insists, no, he's real, all right. You got to tell me something. Who are you anyway? And Magog here is thinking, women, same in every dimension, always spoiling the fun. I'm your pal. What more do you need to know? We were pals before and will be. Before what? If you're not from this earth, then neither am I, says Longshot. And you must know who I am. You've been holding out. So Magog here thinks to himself, a demon can't even finish his hot dog in peace. That's a little bit funny. I like that. Turn the page. This is a great page. Lots of great cartooning here. Lots of great expression on Magog's face. Arthur Adams does enjoy drawing monsters and monstrous figures. And he's enjoying himself with the cartooning of this. Yeah, he looks like Alf, but he also looks like a Jim Henson creation. Part of me thinks that, maybe Nocenti and Arthur Adams would have loved to have pitched this to the likes of George Lucas or Jim Henson to make this come to life. It's very much of the mid-'80s and those fantasy movies of the mid-'80s, this particular book and miniseries. So Magog turns finally on Longshot and he says, all right, I'll tell you what I know about you. I hate you. That's all I know. And he flounces off with his spiky tail there. So he's transforming. I'm still evolving, he thinks to himself. I seem to be a magic magnet on this world. I must wait till I tap it to the limit. I like this layout choice here, the borderless panel, and also that Arthur Adams bit of the dots for the eyes there. You can just about make it out if you watch this in high definition. So lots of features of his signature style already established in this very early phase of his career. Interesting choice here too, to have this panel all black in the background. And Longshot is upset. He thinks, he was my one and only friend, Rita. I love that puppy, trusted him. Why'd he turn on me? Rita says, he wasn't your only friend, I'm here. But Longshot thinks to himself, she's so sweet, but so was he. I can't get close to anybody ever again, because you never know. So this naive, good-hearted Longshot character is beginning to become a little bit cynical because of his experiences with people on Earth. So next day on the set, there's a lot of work there on this kind of castle type location with the big skull face and the missile battery coming out of the head of the skull, the top of the skull there. That's pretty fun stuff. A lot of detail on the camera here too. Hitch in his director's chair. So the action sequence starts. Longshot and Rita in costume jet off with their jetpacks. Now, here's where things get interesting, because my view is that Arthur Adams was under pressure to get the rest of the story told, like we're into the third act at this point, to get it told in the remaining number of pages. So he's got, I think, 6 pages from this point to the conclusion, if I'm right about that. I think is there 22 or 23 pages in this? Let me just quickly look ahead there. Yeah, 23 pages. So he's got 6 pages left, and you will see he starts pushing the number of panels, anywhere between 10 and 12 panels on most of these last 6 pages. So again, that's something that is a sign of a novice, someone who is still learning the craft of storytelling, laying out the story so that you don't have to squeeze the story into all these panels at the end of the issue. Remember that little barbarian boy? There he is up there, outside of the panels on the page. So that's an Arthur Adams doodle, but he doodled it too close to the art that was to be printed, because there's a section of a comics artboard that is outside of the printing area. You can do your doodles out there. He doodled too close, but it's kind of funny, and also the fact that the bullpen didn't erase it from the page. So what's happening here is they get over this barbed wire fence with these animatronic hounds, and they get up atop. They avoid the laser fire from whatever this thing is, this defense system. But Longshot is feeling off. He says here to Rita, "You have skill, I have something else. People say I'm lucky." So Longshot has learned in the previous issue that his luck only works when his motives are pure. And he's worried that money is not a good motive to do what he's doing, because he's doing this for $1 million and it's screwing up his luck power. So Rita says here, and of course this is a Nocenti speciality, asking these moral questions in the midst of the story. And Rita says, "Sure, well, nah, maybe not. It's a selfish motive, I guess. I'm so confused," she says. "Let's just go." So, or rather, that's Longshot says that. So they get attacked by the lasers again. These lasers, I don't know why. Your man Hitch, he thinks that it's going to bring out a better performance in Rita and Longshot if the lasers are real. So they're set not to stun or anything like that, but to kill. So Longshot is badly wounded here, and he's thinking there about his motives. Because his motives are not pure, because he's doing this for money, his luck is running out. And then he has another flashback to Mojo World. He's surrounded by all of these. It's some kind of mad ritual. His head has been held here and he's about to be branded in the face with this star. And then he's back in the present and he's out of control. The rocket's out of control. He's falling from the sky towards those dogs. They're waiting there to grab him, and he gets caught in the power lines. So Rita comes down to help him out. The film crew here is saying, "Better get him out of there, call off the dogs." But this guy's adamant, no, he's not going to stop his film for health and safety. "Keep filming," he demands. So Longshot gets out of the, with Rita's help, he gets out of the power lines. But his luck is gone. So he crashes into this shed and it looks like he's out for the count. That's a great panel there of Ricochet Rita in her costume. Really nice. She thinks to herself, no, it can't be. Always knew it happened to me one day, but to see it, oh, Longshot all smashed. So one of the other actresses is there. She thinks Longshot's dead. So the film director says, "Get him to my truck. I'll rush him to the hospital, but get that costume off him first." Now, interesting conclusion to this. So the director here is thinking only of himself. He's worried about Longshot dying. I could get charged with manslaughter, he thinks. Oh blast, what have I done? That's a real great picture of him there, smoking, sweating, and the uplighting on him as well in his truck as he's driving not towards the hospital but towards the river. His whole plan here is to dump the body, and he says it's so disgusting. He wants Longshot's body to sink. His lungs will fill with water. I can't breathe. He's rising, he's gagging there with the disgust at his immoral deed. Longshot, that's a great panel by Arthur Adams with all the blood on Longshot's face as he's not quite sinking in the water. Hitch there says, "Don't look at me," he sees me. I like this choice too from Arthur Adams. The storytelling here is good. So we've got a close-up on his face. We're pulling back a mid-shot, pulling back even further. That's nicely done. "Don't look at me," he says as he sinks to his knees by the river. Great colouring here too by Christy Shield. Nice work. So how do you save someone's life who doesn't want to be saved? Longshot has lost hope and heart. More demon madness and other wild stuff next in Jinx. And they're looking for fans to write in letters about the series up to this point. So there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Longshot number 2. If you did, please like the video on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more content like this.